Well, now it's the final quarter of 2022 with the month of October, so let's take a look at what came in. First up are a few items sent in by viewers of the channel, such as this very interesting commercial Estonian EST-DCU shirt, along with a few patches. It was sent in with a great handwritten note talking about how, though it's a commercial piece, the cloth is from the same fabric used to make official uniforms for Estonia and is even a common piece worn by certain forces during the hotter months. It also talked about how the generic unofficial name of the pattern, EST-DCU, is just that, a generic name, with the real one being Regular Field Uniform Camouflage Pattern. All of this and much more was mentioned, which is actually very helpful as this is a topic we've slowly been picking away at for a future video, but finding more specific details have so far been elusive. Regardless, thank you very much for the pieces and bits of information, AA. Next up is this small grouping of French pieces sent in by Daniel. Though the patterns are not rare, they are still very interesting as this small collection gives us a nice snapshot of some of the more prevalent uniforms worn by France during the turn of the century and into the early 2000s. Being the standard green F1 uniform, the woodland CCE pattern, and the desert pattern colloquially known as Daguette, named after the operation it was first seen being used on a large scale. And last up is another small grouping out of Romania showing two generations of camouflage patterns, specifically their last generation DPMs, both the woodland and desert, as well as their newest navy design, and a few patches too. These pieces also give us a quick look into the various uniform cuts used by Romanian forces over the years. Like the other two fractal patterns from a few months ago were picked up from Corvas Adrian, so thank you once again for reaching out. And while still on the topic of Romania, here are a few more pieces from there. Specifically a version of the M1990 leaf style pattern, and 3 different variants of their M1993 flex style design. Various pieces in these camouflages seem to have recently flooded the surplus market and appear to range in quality from completely worn out and tattered all the way up to unissued, like these. Some even have their collar keepers and production chalk marks still on them. The interesting thing about the fleck patterns in the back is that they are all the same standard version. However, if you look closely, you can see that they all vary a little bit in the colors, be it the left where the green shapes appear to take on a more tannish hue, the middle where the greens are closer to a brownish tan, and the right that sees the greens, well, green. Next up are 2 different patterns, one out of Slovakia and the other one out of Bahrain. The Slovakian one is the VZ 2007 Forest design, which is a very unique take on pixelated camouflage, seeing the squares being a bit larger in their overall shape and dispersion around the uniform. On the right is the Bahraini 3-color Desert DPM design. A quick glance would make one think it's actually a 2-color, but if you look for a bit longer and a little closer, you'll see the faint outlines of shapes in a slightly darker tan than the background color. For a time, this design was standard issue to all of the BDF. And to wrap things up is something that isn't always picked up, but for the price it was sold for, it was certainly worth it. An older US Z2 anti-blackout flight suit. These were worn by pilots through the 1950s and 60s, with this set appearing to be a slightly newer one based on the tag and the condition it's in. On the channel, we've talked a bit about flight suits here and there, but being that there are so many out there for various crafts and purposes, it may be worth looking at more in the future. But that will do it for October. Thank you again to everyone who sent in or offered items. As always, they are very much appreciated and will always help out with topics as we work on them. Be sure to check back next time when we go through everything picked up for the month of November. Take care, everyone.